Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of
What Anna Said podcast.
We are so excited because we have a special guest.
Yes.
And so let me not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. Today we have Ofa Faiva-Siale with us. Yay!
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for your time, Alpha. Thank you so much for your quick response when we reached out to you. You're so supportive ever since we've come to know you. And so it just made sense that you were so quick to support and say, yes, I'll do it, girls. Let's get together. So let me stop talking.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you and have you introduce yourself.
My name is Ofa Faiva-Siale. I am married to Faiva-Siale. We go to St. Michael's Catholic Church. We live here in Euless, fabulous Texas.
Yes, fabulous
Yep.
Texas. That's right. And we'll get into fabulous Texas for sure a lot soon here. But let's go ahead and dive into your personal background, your journey. Tell me about the time with you growing up in Tonga and what led to your decision in moving here to the States.
Okay. So moving here to the States, moved here when I was 9 years old, 1976. I honestly didn't have much choice in moving here. My father decided to bring us here for a better life, like many Tongan journeys. And so he came in, so my mom passed away in 1973. My dad left Tonga in 1974 to come here. He came to San Francisco, worked, raised enough money, brought my eldest sister, and left me and my younger sister and my younger brother back home. And then she came and they worked together and raised enough money to bring me and my sister and my brother. And then we journeyed up here. I was 9 and my sister Annabella was 11 or so. Actually 15, sorry. And then and then my brother was close to 20. And so we all journeyed up here together, made that long journey by ourselves. We came via Samoa and we got stuck over there because our paperwork wasn't correct. And then we came to Hawaii. And then in Hawaii, a family there, this is when children can travel by themselves. So my sister and I were traveling by ourselves at that point. My brother got stuck in Samoa. So we came from Samoa to Hawaii by ourselves. And some of the California folks were at the airport and they saw me playing and they didn't see an adult anywhere. And they went and asked the counter, there's a child over there. And it was me and my sister. And we traveled up here by ourselves and came together with my dad and my family here. But that's nothing compared to probably what most people go through the journey up here.
Wow, that is amazing. I never known that about you, about the trek that you guys had to take to come here and for your father to make that commitment and then stick to it and bring you guys over here. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I can't even imagine a little kid. I mean, what must have been going through your mind as a young kid?
Very
Like you said, you had no
scary.
choice.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't have a choice but to do it, so I'm going to do it. But wow.
Very scary. My older sister had the tough job. She had to communicate and do our communications for us. And we made it here and with just one change of clothes that we had on us. And that's the whole journey to America.
That is amazing. I'm sure there were a lot of challenges for you guys coming here, especially like you said, being so young, coming with nothing, getting stuck even on your way here. It wasn't like you came here smoothly, but spending some time in Samoa because due to paperwork and all of that. I mean, that not scaring you guys off, but continuing to keep on and come all the way here. That is wow. I'm sure that there were a lot of adjustments and challenges that you guys had to face when you were establishing a life here in the States. What was the biggest cultural adjustment for you when you first arrived in the U.S.?
At that age, I think a lot of the things that concerned me were the language. That was definitely a big deal. Having to go to school, not knowing any English, and having to be taught and having to deal with children, being bullied, being made fun of. And I'm not complaining about bullying. It made me who I am. So I'm not. So language was a big deal. I think food, took was much better here. It was
The fast food,
abundance.
yeah.
A lot more food here.
Right.
The idea that you could serve yourself
Yes.
and eat whatever amount you
Yeah,
wanted, that
sure.
was a big deal. I was like, and but that was a couple of the things that comes to mind. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I mean, just to hear you, you said language, but I mean, even now you speak very well in
Yes.
English. So for that to be a challenge for you, you definitely took the challenge by the horns. And look at you
Yeah.
today. I mean, it must have taken a lot to acclimate to this new land and this
Yeah.
new culture. When did you make the decision to make Euless, Texas your home? Did you come here first?
No, we came and landed in San Mateo, California, lived
Right.
with cousins, 100 people per household.
Yes, yeah.
And we did that. We did come legally. I do
Yes.
want to say that.
Okay, that part.
My dad had us green cards, and we all came. We had social security numbers, and he worked hard to get that. But that's the journey of coming to America for many of us. And so we lived there, and then 1981 we moved to LA. And I went to start at ninth grade over there, high school. So as you could figure by now, I'm 200 years old. But we moved there in 81, and then by 1984 my family had decided to move here further. And all of that is in the journey in the pursuit of better life, and trying to find a space and find a place where you
Right.
can live and thrive as a
Right.
family, and to elevate and to grow and bring your family to that, make it easier to live and pay
Right.
bills. And Texas was that. My brother had recently gotten married prior to that, and then he had asked my dad, I need to start my life. I want to get somewhere.
Right.
Can you help me? And he told him, I have a cousin in Texas named Siuperi Netane, the first Tongan man to be here.
Yes.
And so they sent my
wow.
brother. He came and worked, which is a normal pattern of migration for our people. The males go first,
Yes.
and they go stay
Yeah,
there
that's
and
true.
work, and then build the home and get work,
Exactly.
and then bring the family.
Yes.
And so that's the same journey with us. And we came here. My brother came, and you know how culturally connected we are as families. He told my sisters about the wonderful things about Texas: abundance of work, low cost of living, all of that. And so he convinced my sister and her husband when they got married, and so they moved here. And then they thought, well, here, go on over there now. Never mind that I'd already gone to 3 high schools in California.
I know.
And then I moved here and went to 3 more high schools.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
Yeah, I
Wow.
went to North Richland Hills, and then I went to LD Bell for summer school because I
Yeah.
was behind because of the
Yes.
difference in
Right.
Yes.
California and Texas.
Yes.
Yes.
We know that. Yeah.
We have that experience.
So did that, and then graduated out of Trinity High School. So I went to
That
6
is
high
so
schools.
cool.
There it is.
Wow, what a journey. I
Yes.
mean, I feel like your entire life is you taking that trek, not just from Tonga, but even coming here and then going to different schools in very different parts of, that's a different culture. Texas and
Yes.
and
California.
California itself is different, let alone Texas and Tonga. So,
Yeah,
wow.
it is very much so.
Wow. And then especially for your family, which is the same for a lot of
Yeah.
families that come here, migrate here, to share the news and say, hey, there's work here, there's abundance here, you guys come over here. So that's
Yeah.
amazing. So that's how you finally made your way here
I
to
did.
Texas.
Yeah, that's how.
Right. And then made Texas your home after all of the hopping around high
Yep.
schools
Yeah.
and man, wow.
Absolutely. Country to country.
Yes. Country to country.
Coming to Texas like another country.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. So once you came to Euless, I know if anyone talks about Euless and if we needed to get in touch with, say, the mayor of Euless or anything that has to do with the city, we know that one person we can go to is Ofa Faiva-Siale.
Yes.
So with mentioning that, Ofa, I wanted to ask you, how were you able to secure your position with the city of Euless, and also what inspired you to take on that role?
Well, so I will say the idea that I secured a position, that I made a choice to secure a position with the city of Euless. I'm not sure that I can make a claim of that I made a choice. As you know, as Tongans, we we have certain places we
Yes.
grow up and
Mhm.
everybody stay in your place and
Yes.
everybody has a space and don't elevate too much
Yeah.
out of space and so forth. And so I, honest to God, I started working for the city of Euless as a building attendant over there at the rec center. And I did that about 25 years ago. I did that for a while, and the lady who was in that position of the rental coordinator for the city of Euless, she was leaving, and then she recommended me for the position. And then they offered it to me, and I said I had to actually call my sisters
Yeah.
because we're extremely close. Because my mom died so young, my two sisters and I are we're very, very close, and the children. And so while I lived here, I traveled back and forth home all the time.
Yeah.
And so when the job was offered to me, I actually called them up and said, hey, the city is offering me this job, but it is going to mean I'm going to miss graduation. And I could cry now
Yeah.
thinking about it, because I actually had to cut out a lot, and I missed a lot of the Christmas and a lot of the special occasions, and and it became a separation. But anyway, they both told me, you better get that job. This is wonderful. This is great. This is the best thing for you. Don't worry about the kids. They'll understand. So I did. I took that job, and then I stayed in there, and I really thought that I was going to enjoy that and coast on that until
Yeah.
retirement. And so 2020 came around, and the city offered to move me over to PD, to the police department, to go there and work with Suzanne Hendrickson, who's a person I admire and love a lot. She's a co-worker of mine, but I had to go over there and help with COVID stuff. And so at least that's what they told me.
Yeah.
I think they probably wanted to get me out of the other department and said, go over here. We need you here. But anyhow, that would be my journey and how I came to the current position I'm in. And of course, I was there for a couple of years, and then the administrative assistant for the chief of police decided to move on to another career. And so the chief now, but the assistant chief back then offered, and chief, actually, Chief Brown, they sat me down and offered me the position. And I, honest to God, did not want it. God is my witness. It's a lot. It's tremendous, immense. And in fact, I ran around the building and asked everybody over there, hey, do you want this position?
Yeah.
And anyhow, I'm here. That's where I'm at by the grace of God and goodwill of, Balangi people who saw potential in me that I don't have, and I'm sure I don't have.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, we move on, and that's the journey.
Oh,
That's
wow.
life.
Yeah, that's so amazing to hear, Ofa. Just seeing you from your life growing up and then coming to here to America by yourself as a child with your sister at such a young age, with all the, the differences in the culture and all the barriers, and still overcoming and then sacrificing this job, that you weren't sure, like, let me call my sisters. Cause I know me and my sisters, if there's something going, I'm like, okay, let me call my sisters. Or if I'm going through something, hey sisters, and they usually bring me back censored to like, okay, you know what you need to do. And which is always to remain calm, and thoroughly think out anything before I just speak my mind. Just to see your sisters encourage you and you take those sacrifices to miss such important, because as Polynesians, family is so important to us. That's something
ma'am.
that is knitted
Absolutely.
and woven within us as we are created. That's something that we can't let go of. That's in our DNA as Tongans and Polynesians is family. So for you to be able to take that step in faith and be like, okay, well, I'm going to miss this and all the sacrifices. It's something that we don't think of sometimes. And for me, that when you were speaking about that, I was like, wow, that's just like, if I had to miss something for my family, I would definitely cry about it too. Like just thinking like, yeah, that's definitely a lot.
Yes.
But as we talk about that, I also wanted to ask, how was your day-to-day work involved as a liaison between the city and the Tongan community? Because I know with our Tongan community, Tongans, with our culture, and if we have funerals, like everything that goes on. So with the city, so I'm pretty sure you've had your share of the city maybe telling you, like, hey, Ofa, what is this? So, and also now you're working for the, in the office with the PD. So please just share with us, how does your day-to-day work involved as a liaison between our communities?
So, as a liaison to the Tongan community, that's actually probably less than 5% of my duties. I would say more in the 2 to 3% of my overall duties over there at PD. The police department employs half of all the employees for the city of Euless. And so there's lots of wonderful, capable people there who helps to run that, who runs that department. And so I happen to be in the mix of that, and I do what I do what I can there
Yeah.
as far as my duties are concerned. But the being liaison to the Tongan community isn't really it's not the biggest part of my day. I sometimes wish that it was,
Yeah.
so I could do a better job. Because it's thank God for the committee members. They carry it
Yes.
along, and and I'm incapable a lot of the times. So, but so as liaison, just a brief history. When I was in the other department, the department I was in before was the Park and Recreation department.
Yes.
And so while I was there, that's when the city manager came to me and asked, "What can we do? I really need to build up something here so we can maintain communication and to work together with the community." And so that's how ETCC came forth.
Okay.
And so it was added on. It wasn't a part of my duties.
Yes.
So ETCC came on about 15 years into
wow.
my career there. And so that came about, and we formed that, developed that. I wrote the bylaw for that. We worked together with the city, and I had collected asked different members from the community, from the different churches, to come and help build the bylaw and to translate it and to to advise and to edit and to do all these things. So that's how ETCC came about. Normally, before that, it was TYAT.
Yes.
That's what my first love, and that's the program I'd like to get back to if I
Yes.
could. But it's suffered now because now ETCC is a primary on my
Yes.
plate, and then TYAT was brought in under ETCC, so the committee can work on it. We can all work on it together.
Yes.
But that's a little background to ETCC. And so over there at the police department, now when the ambassador and the prime minister visited last year, it became for a month, it became 100% of my duties.
Yeah. Yeah.
At PD, 100% for
Yeah.
sure. And but thank God, Suzanne's in the building and lots of people there to help out with that. So.
And I know, Ofa, with you starting the TYAT, I remember when it first started, I think I was in junior high, And I remember because you guys had an award ceremony. So that was my first time going. And actually, that was my first time seeing my husband. So, but no, I'm just, but I'm just saying. No, but I was just saying the TYAT, I remember,
I love it.
you had a dance, but just in your role alone, you have started the different programs here in our community. So I know, how has the city of Euless benefited from having you as part of their team? We already see you with the ETCC, the TYAT, and anything we need with the community of Euless, we know that we can reach out to you, Ofa. So I wanted to ask you, how for you has the city of Euless benefited?
Okay. Let me backtrack just a sec to talk about real quickly about the idea that I started a program. I'll be very honest with you. There's a lot of people like Bila Coca, Fred Katoa. There was some people back then who saw a need to form this committee, and they approached me and asked me to join. I went in to support, and so there's great people, and I hate saying names because I'm going to leave some names out, but the Ta'ai Karebali, Michelle Faretao. It was just some random group of people who saw a need and decided to meet together and to try and do something about some of the issues that was going on at the school. And so that's how TYAT started. And but it was definitely a huge group of people. I know your dad participated in that some in the beginning. Mia Langi, Emma Langi, Miki Langi, a bunch of them. Just so many people. And I wish I was more prepared so I could name off names. But anyway, so that's that. How has the city benefited from having me? probably best to ask them. But I don't think there's. I don't. I don't think. I don't know that I've brought. I'm not sure. If there's any needs from the community, it goes through ETCC. We've had, the fire department come and do presentations to the committee. We have a huge committee. We have a lot of people that helped to bridge the gap into open communication with the city through ETCC. So I think that, that's something that, we're very, maybe that's a good contribution. The city
Oh,
might
yes.
say.
Oh, yes, for sure. I know one thing for sure that the city has benefited from was also when we needed to jumpstart our scholarship. And we knew, okay, what's one person that's in the city that can help us, get everything together. And we looked no further than right here next to me to Ofa Faiva-Siale. And it has been such a joy to be able to work beside you, work with you and the TYAT and get everything in order so that we were actually able to finally start our scholarship last year. And so I already know that's a way that the city of Euless has benefited from you. And I also wanted to ask, what skills or experiences from your Tongan upbringing have helped you in your role today?
So what skills from the being Tongan? I guess my outlook and my view and the understanding of the culture
Yeah.
maybe is something that the city could find beneficial and useful. But again, I'm going to have to say, I might have to pick a few friends of mine so you can go ask.
Yeah. Well, I know, Ofa, I know that there's more that hasn't been achieved yet, but is going to come through you. And I'm so excited to see what that future is. As we know, as you shared, whenever they offered you the role of working with the PD and you're like, find somebody else. You went and asked around the whole building and, and it still became you. It reminds me of this very important verse that says, many are the plans in a man's heart, but the Lord's purpose will stand. So that just shows that you are in the place that you are meant to be, and that I can't wait to see what God's going to do to you, through you, and for our community, Ofa. So many things, many great things, they're coming. That's right.
No, I'm pushing 200 and I can't. That we're done. We're done.
You're not pushing 200.
But, I want to say something, about that, the position there when they offered it to me. Honestly, I didn't want it because I knew I was unprepared. I was untrained. I had no experience to work as an administrative assistant. And I didn't have the schooling for it. I didn't have the experience for it. And that's why I didn't want to do it, and I think, they're regretting it now, but they're stuck. They're stuck.
They're not regretting it. The beautiful thing that you brought up before, you were saying that you couldn't understand why or how someone saw potential in yourself when it came to these positions. But I just want to encourage you that you have a lot of potential, and I cannot wait to see what else is going to. Lots of layers to Ofa Faiva-Siale. So we cannot wait to see that this year. So you guys wait, okay? Don't doubt. A question that I have for you, Ofa, is what are some of the cultural differences you've observed between the Tongan community and the wider Euless community?
Cultural differences. Well, there's quite a bit. Some of the things I've learned as I journey through life amongst the Palangi people. Now, mind you, here at this new job that I have, or this, my current position, people there are highly capable. They're very, they work at a different level. They work, 5 years in advance. They're working here 3 and 6 months ahead of time, and they are highly capable. They are talented. They are smart. This is their world, and they can maneuver through it. And I've had to sit and watch in awe with my mouth gaping open at times to see them work, especially when the Prime Minister came for a visit. That entailed we had to go meet with the Secret Service, and we had to go do all these extraordinary things that would way beyond somebody like me, my life. And but anyway, being exposed to all of that, I got to see firsthand some of the way they work in the system. And this world is their world. And so come into the culture. I think one of the biggest differences that I notice is the family dynamics. Majority of people, not everybody, but just generally speaking, a lot of people are single. Some people are have 2 or 3 family members. There's I've also not just through them, but in other areas too, where I see that there's a lot of mental illness in amongst people. There's lots of children who are shooting up schools, and there's people are lots of mental illness, and I think a lot of that has to do with the lack of family support and the lack of unconditional love that it occurs throughout the Tongan culture and the way that we have families and raise a huge family, and you're never alone. You're if you are ever lonely or sad, you've got 90 cousins you can call. And so forth. So that's a big thing is the family differences. The other thing is that our elderly, the way we continue we still maintain respect and value them more as they age than when they are in their peak. In reverse, sometimes it seems, and I could be very wrong, it seems that there's it's different in a wider world. But for us, and I think sometimes probably if a palang is listening, yeah. But that's one thing is that and that culture. Another thing is something sometimes I almost kind of come to the sense I almost feel like that work families replace sometimes can replace I family hoto family totono o kita and so those are some differences that I can see, and it's not meant to be some of the other is that we have a lot more to learn from them in order to improve our lives as far as how to work how to work and how to be at work and sacrifice for work and to elevate yourself. Those are some differences.
I love those differences that you brought up, Ofa. One of the biggest ones that I take away is the family difference, the culture when it comes to families. Speaking for myself, coming here to the States as a Tongan girl straight from the islands. I was about 9 years old when we moved here. And I just remember the American culture, being so in love and infatuated with the American culture that my goals were to get a career, rise all the way to the top, and stay single, stay, away from my family, move away, and then I got married and had kids, and I didn't realize how much I truly needed that family support. And so I'm so grateful that our culture does have that strong family unit, because I have heavily benefited from that part of our culture. And so there are definitely a lot of things that we can take away from the American culture for sure. And so to develop and elevate, get outside of our boxes. So because we have a lot of talent within this room. And so I can't wait to see it untapped. We just haven't tapped into it. So we're looking forward to that. Another question that I have here for you is, have there been any challenges in helping both sides understand each other better? And if there were, how have you worked to overcome them?
Challenges to help each community. I think the challenge is more in the Tonga folks learning the Palangi. The Palangi people are, what's that word? Magnanimous?
Oh, sorry.
Magnanimous? I don't know. They're very, I cannot tell you how many Palangi people, men, throughout my life journey who has helped me. One was a pastor. One was the city manager. The chief of police. They see you, and if you work hard and you are lacking in things, they can overlook that. And they can still promote you because they know that you're dedicated, or they see something that touches them. They are the most helpful people. They will bend over backwards to help people, and I can honestly say, mahalog lahiyang ito ko ni yaw hega kay palangi hega kay Tonga. Most Tonga people in the Tonga culture, kukay ge fulo ko firma o get outside of our
Right,
space.
yeah.
You have a place, stay in your place.
Yeah.
And so and that's a part of the culture, so I fully understand, and I've dealt with it my whole life. Time go, there's work to be done, and then you get too far ahead, and then it just makes people mad.
Right.
And then but that's just that's life.
Yes.
And everybody's journeying and shifting and changing.
Right.
I can't help that I came at 9 and I
Right.
grew up here, and then now I've lost some of my Tonga understanding
Right,
and my know-hows.
right.
So yeah, as far as differences in cultures, I think there's a great many.
One thing that I do recognize about the Tongan culture, or most of the Tongan folks, is the work ethic, which, as you mentioned, even though you didn't have certain other skills,
no training.
they saw your work ethic, they saw the potential in you. And the best thing is that you can always learn.
Yeah.
And I think that we are quick to learn, like we are adaptable. And speaking of adaptable, I mean, you adapted quickly when you moved here from from a whole new other world. And so that just goes to show that you earned it. Okay. You can always learn. You may not have the skills, but you can learn those skills. And so I'm glad that they saw that work ethic and potential in you. Can you share any success stories of how the work with ETCC or TYAT has bridged gaps between the city and the Tongan community?
So one example that comes to mind, like I mentioned earlier, the fire chief came over to the meeting. There was a time when it was very difficult. City ordinances, when we come from Tonga, we have to adapt to the area we live in. And sometimes when we come here, our culture is slow to adapt. And behange ko'y putu, kafaiha putu. Hufang e whatapu porta potty e wha. Behanga ia ge neighbor. And then people come and wait for the whailotu, and they sit on the neighbor's grass. Never mind that they pay thousands of dollars for their sprinkler system. And and then the parking situation, and then the 5-day funerals, and the slaughtering of the cooking.
Of course. You can hear it right now.
So, we come here, and then we've got all these rules that are put upon us. In Tonga, we go to the putu, the whole neighborhood knows their home is open to get this funeral done. Everybody sits. The whole, everybody at work knows you've got to miss 20 days. And, the whole culture, is shifts when we come here. So as far as the success from some of the work that we've done, so the fire department had to come because unfortunately, some of the umus, that were being done was, without fire extinguishers. They never call in and say, hey, we're going to do a umu here. There's going to be fire, and there's, neighbors are calling, there's a fire, and it's just a lot of that, and so the fire chief had to come over and do a presentation. He did a slideshow, and he talked about the importance of calling it in, just so they know, and they have the address in case there's a fire they can easily get to, and explain some of the differences that we never deal with, and we don't ever have to think about, but that they do. And then he's showing the slideshow, and there's a house, and it's got a big, huge pile of wood that's burning, and one of the ETCC members goes, hey, that looks like the back of my house. So we look over there, and it was. So that's a success.
Yes, it is.
Chief Mike Brown came to ETCC. Hey, we really need officers, police officers from the Tongan community. We have summer jobs, to encourage our kids, our youth to work early and get into the workforce early to learn how to work, because it's a different than living at home. And so And so Mike came, Chief Brown came, and we since hired Eric and some of the people there, and so that's a bridge we've helped to build. We have a wonderful relationship with the school district. Mike Harris, the principal of Trinity High School, back over the years, helped a lot to help us take all the youth on college tours. They offered the buses, they paid for that. They even offered lunch and give us the students to take so that everybody can go listen and hear, about college and the opportunities that's out there. And so I guess those are some of the bridges.
Those are a lot of stories. Yes.
Good,
Yeah.
Good success.
Yeah.
Speaking of the whole burning, I'm glad that the fire chief
I think everyone has
had that
an
presentation, because I know when we first moved here to the States,
Uh-huh.
we were still doing the
Yeah.
same thing we were doing back in the
Yeah.
islands.
Yeah.
We had all our rubbish in the back,
Yeah.
about to
fire.
set a fire,
Yeah.
and the fire department definitely came and gave us a visit. So we had to learn,
Yeah.
had to learn to adapt. What are some misconceptions people in Euless might have about the Tongan culture? And how do you address them? Because I know you mentioned something about the slaughtering, of our meals
Yeah.
and the umu. So are there any other misconceptions, or what are something that
Here in
comes to mind?
Texas, it's funny because here in Texas, there's everybody who lives in Texas. And if you don't know and you move here to Texas, let me tell you, the day you land here, you better make sure that you go to church every Friday night. So you need to go to football games. Trinity High School is playing. And everybody else, this is a Texas
Yeah.
culture.
Yes.
And Tongans who migrate here adopt that
Oh, yeah,
culture.
sure.
And we have learned to take that on. And so amongst the Palangis in my life over there with them at work, I always get the question, you gonna be at the game tonight?
Yeah.
You going to the
That
game?
is-
You're gonna be at the game, right? I'll see you at the game.
Right.
No, I don't go to. I
Right.
can't go to the game.
Right.
Everybody thinks we all
That's
eat
true.
and
Yeah.
Yes.
live football, and we all know
Yes.
everything about football, and football is the
Yes.
only thing.
That we're
And
true.
we love football, we all
Yes.
do, but we want to focus and highlight some education,
Yes.
some academic people and arts and
Yes.
stuff like that. So there's some misconception. I
Yes.
don't know that I know that we try to look at the cultures and for me personally, working in the rental department, I used to deal a lot with a lot of different cultures. And I came to recognize that utaw tatao, tautolong with other
Oh,
Yes,
true.
yes.
Very true.
the other cultures
Right.
will be there 4 hours.
Yep.
And then they're there 10. This area has had to adapt to that, and they've done wonderful, I think, in helping us, to giving us time to change and to shift and
Right.
to integrate,
Right.
and I just think, I thank God that I'm here, and that this is where He brought me.
Yes.
This is God's land, right?
Yeah,
here.
that's so true.
Fabulous.
Yes, exactly.
Fabulous.
Fabulous. That's right. That's so funny that you brought up that misconception, because I feel like as Polynesians and Tongans here in Texas, where football is a religion, that is something that comes up. When someone finds out that you're Tongan, and they're like, "Oh, does your son play football? Does your husband play?" Or they if they see my dad come one day and pick me up, and they're like, "Oh, he's so big, he's so
did he
tall.
play?
Did he play football? Did he?" Actually the stereotype, yes, he did, but that's not what I'm talking about. But it's like, that's so funny. Everyone just assumes I'll see you at the game. Hey, did you see? Did you see Trinity? And then I'm like, I don't
They
know.
always
You
say-
know more about it than I do.
Yeah.
Yes, but that is so funny. That's so true. I'm sure as you reflect on your journey, that there are a lot of things that you have learned about yourself, and learn about yourself being here in a new country and a new culture. What are some of the things you think that you have learned, that you have personally developed or learned about yourself over your time and journey here?
I think we grow up too late. I think, as far as myself, I grew up too late. Oftentimes in our culture, we keep children as a very long time, and sometimes then we come into the workforce, and then we're behind
Right.
because we don't have the training and the mastery of what Palangis do. And I think that's something I've learned. Learning to invest
Yes.
in money and learning how to budget and learning to live under your means and learning to save and learning to how to make money off of nothing,
that's true.
off of a little bit,
Yes.
here, at my age, I'm beginning to recognize that, goodness gracious, the potential, to learn all of these things. We missed it.
I know.
I did.
It's true.
My husband and I missed it, and a lot of my family, my own family, that but it's kind of a catch-22, because if you send them out too early, then
That's so true.
and they're gone too, and God is taught out of them, and
Right.
family's gone, and then
Right.
they marry outside of the culture,
Right.
and then so it's a catch-22, and that's something I've thought often about. I've dilemmaed about in myself about taking students on college tours.
Right.
While we're still 50 years behind the Balangis here in America.
True.
50 years ago, university was the goal.
Exactly.
For us, we're coming into that while they've moved on. They're not going to college anymore.
right.
College is, nuts now.
Right.
They're teaching God out of that, and they're
Yes.
teaching people all these mental, things that they're teaching. And so, now that's a dilemma for me.
Yes.
And, but anyway, that's a part of the journey. You learn as you go. But I think at this age, I realized that there's so much that we could potential that we as Tongans, in our culture, we are taught our places. We all serve, and we all have meaning.
Yes.
We all have a meaning in life, because
Right.
we, depending on if you're the sister or if
Yeah.
you're the brother or
The
sister,
youngest,
Yes.
the youngest or the oldest.
Yes.
Are you going to
Get in
your
line.
mom's side of the family's
Right.
function,
Yes.
or are you going to your
Yes.
dad's side of the
Yes.
family's
Right.
function?
Yeah.
So we all have roles there, but everybody stays in those roles.
Yes.
Here in America, it's a different world.
Right.
Yeah.
And then now people are separated by distance, and people have to work and
Yes.
move, and so we're
Right.
starting to see a shift in our culture. And so it's sad that we are going to lose a lot of what makes us Tongan and the
Right.
traditions and stuff like that. But then what do you want to do? Do you want to always stay, eating the dollar menu
Yeah.
and, taking welfare,
Mhm.
or do we join this world and learn? And
Right.
we're going to have to lose some of ourselves. And it's
Mhm.
that's something that's sad for me. And,
It
and
is. Yes.
and it's something you have to put into compartments and keep journeying on and do the best you can and leave the rest to God,
That's
Yes.
true.
because we're not called to save the world.
Yeah.
That is so true. Just what you shared at the end there about how you want to assimilate to this new culture with all this new information, growing up in a culture where you're given your identity, you're given your place, you're given your role. Like you said, you have a role. You have there's meaning for you. If you're the oldest sister, youngest sister,
yeah.
you're going to your dad's side, your mom's side. You will know who you are,
Yes.
where you stay. Don't cross this line.
Yeah.
Don't go too far. Don't all these things that keep you in this box, and then you come here and all this information just blows the lid off the box. And it's like, how do I go now? How fast do I go? Where do I go? And like hindsight, they say hindsight is 20/20. And so for you looking back now, knowing, wow, there's so much more we could have done. There's so much more I could have done with the information that I know, which is why this is so helpful. And that's why I'm so thankful that you're sharing that, because our listeners will definitely benefit from that there's so much out there. Don't limit yourself. And at the same time, you said it's important to keep to your roots, to know your roots. It's important to keep some of that culture, at least know it, at least understand and know, because these things are truly, especially as Tongans, it's just in your DNA. My kids, born and raised in America, the first time they ate like topai or panqueque, it was their favorite thing. And it's like, because you're Tongan.
Yeah,
That's
Tongan.
that's just what it is. Yeah. So for you, how do you stay connected to your Tongan roots here while living here in the diaspora? How do you still keep connected to your roots?
I'll be very honest. One of the things I look back on now, and I think it was a great benefit to me, was taking a role in my local church, in the Tonga church. Became secretary. They chose me to be secretary some years ago, and because of that, I was forced to learn to speak, read, and write. I had to listen, take notes, and write out the notes. And when I go back and I look back at my notes from the beginning, because once you come from Tonga, you don't realize how how the language just
Yes.
slips and slips
Yeah.
away and keeps on going,
Oh, man.
and then it's gone, and then you start to try to pronounce words and you can't remember how to say kite or how to say
True,
lofa or
yes.
fuka or some of these stuff
Mhm.
that you don't use every day. It gets
Exactly.
lost. And so one of the biggest thing for me was going to the local church and being a part of that and forcing myself to learn and not being ashamed to make mistakes and to be laughed at, which is something that most, ulunganga whakatōngau kai tau sa ia ke ilo mai hataha
I
tau
know.
ware,
Yes.
pe kai ke tau poto hono aye, pe aye, pe aye. And so you shy away from doing things.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things you have to not be afraid of is to, and I think that that's what the Palangis are like too. The fact that you
Yes.
ask and you say, I don't
Yes.
know this.
Right.
What do I do?
Yeah.
How do I do this? What can I do? How does this, all of this. And when they see you trying, they elevate that and they love that and they
Yes.
feed you and
Right.
give you more
Yeah.
and give you more responsibilities even
Yes.
when you don't want it.
Yeah. True.
But I think that that's one thing to do is to definitely participate with Tonga people and to practice the language.
Right.
The language is a big thing in
Mhm.
keeping
I
us and
agree.
keeping our culture around. That's something that helps. My husband's family gave him some land in Tonga, and so we go to Tonga and we build a couple of houses over there, and so we go there once a year now. We force ourselves
Right.
to do that. It's not
Yes.
something that we needed to do, and but we did, and so now we're talking about retirement whenever that comes around, and living in Tonga half of the year.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
try to stay. And I'm even now starting to be more interested in their politics.
Yeah.
Ever since the prime minister came, there's some
Yes,
interest
that's
in that
right.
now
Yes.
since he's
That's
resigned.
amazing.
And so all of the talking stuff that I never gave it the time of day
Yes.
before, now I'm going back to that.
Right.
But those are things that we have to do if
Yes.
we want our kids
Right.
to be around it and to keep it going. Honest to God, if you listen on YouTube, there is interviews there from the 1970s. And the Tongans of those days we have nothing left
Right.
of Tonga
Right.
compared to the 70s Tongan who were born in the 30s and so
Right.
forth. So, the culture is slipping away, and it
Yes.
is,
Oh,
it is,
agreed.
yeah.
Yes.
I think about my dad, from my dad to me, and then to my nephews and nieces and them. It's
Very
almost
true.
the language is almost gone.
Yes. Yes. And you said something that's so important because, like you said, you joined the church and they gave you the position to be the secretary, which forced you to read, write, listen, and kind of maintain, preserve your language.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's such an important language is such an important cornerstone between culture and heritage and keeping that alive because especially as us coming from a land that is not as developed as modern day America here, that is the way that we preserve folk tales are passed down through stories, through songs, singing that we grew up singing a song and that's because that's part of our culture, that's actually history. Instead of history books, that's how we're passing it down. So when your language is watered down or you don't understand the language, you are missing out on a great part of your history, your legacy. And so for you to point that out, I just was thinking about how true that is, how important it is. Like you said, from your father's generation to yours, how much has been lost just within that time. I feel like there's so many things in our culture that have been twisted and turned and changed, and it has a whole new meaning. I mean, just one topic alone, like fahu, it just and so if we don't preserve those things, it quickly we lose the richness of our culture. But the question I had here, which you already touched on, was what advice would you give to other immigrants trying to balance maintaining their heritage, their culture, and also adapting to this new land? But like you said, plug in at your local, like your community, your church, just like you did. Yes. Is there anything else you would like to add for anyone who's new here and trying to adapt here? Maybe they're going to school just like you. Maybe they're about to switch schools soon. But what advice would you give to them, whether young or maybe they came here in their 30s and they're trying to start a life? What advice would you give to them that are starting out in this new foreign land?
Wow. I would say, education is a great equalizer. If you can get some training, get some training done. Don't be afraid to don't give up your time. Time is valuable. It's money. If you're spending an hour on TikTok or Facebook, it is a waste of time.
Very true.
Learn something new. Go to YouTube, learn how to do something, paint, do something, offer your services to the neighbors, make grow your wealth. And money, I know in the Tonga culture, it's not a great thing to have. If you have too much,
Yes.
Yes. And but the great thing about money is it gets you health insurance, so you can go see your doctor every chance you get and maintain your health. And then you get the advice you need and mental health and so forth. And then you don't have to eat all the cheap food and all of the you can start we can start eating better food choices and also have time to help others. And whatever it is. But, I think time, if you're new to this country, you are limited only by your own choice. America is the land where you can be anything and be anyone. And Kutausio ke kau India tainimi, they are in they're in Washington. They are the presidents for universities with a heavy duty accent. And they are the people leading the tech world. They are making all the money. They are so sometimes I think our culture is wonderful. I mean, it is wonderful. I wouldn't change it for nothing. But sometimes our focus can be we can hyper focus on celebrations when we could use that money to invest in classes for them, or do a bunch of stuff. And I don't mean to preach, but far beyond, far be it from me to preach to anyone. I'm nothing here, but if somebody is new, if somebody is new, to this country, work hard, go take you a class, take you some class, whatever money you make, put it to classes. I would say that to anyone. Take some classes. You can be the person who's taking temperature at the at the Falemahaki, and who you could be the tech that's doing the CT scans and the CAT scans and the X-rays, and you could be helping in the medical field, all sorts of stuff, and just learn something new and go do it and keep growing.
That's a lot of good advice, actually, for anyone who's new here. I love how you said before, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. I think it's so powerful to know what you don't know.
And to admit it.
And to admit it,
Tonga
exactly.
people, Tonga people have so much pride. How Pakai,
so true.
we're have a lot of pride. We don't want to seem too low, or especially here in America. The lower you put yourself, the better off you'll be.
Exactly.
And you don't have to get slapped down sometimes.
Exactly.
We always do.
Yes, it's so true to say, I don't know, I need help. What can I learn? And I love how you said to invest. Money is a tool. It's a tool to get you better health, like you said, health insurance, to get you a better diet with the food that you eat, to get your foot into doors that you may not have by buying a new book, buying a class, attending a seminar for something. So that is very important. And I hope that whoever's listening, if this applies to you, if you're new here, please, that is the best thing that I could have heard, is that taking the information. The more you learn, like you said, learn a skill, pick as many skills as you want, especially today. Social media is it's free, and there's so much information there. So thank you for that, because that is real advice. And I love that, because they can say the real advice that you just given and use that. That definitely helps. So thank you.
Sacrifice and suffer for a little bit so you can
live
for a long time.
Exactly. How do you see your role influencing the younger generations of Tongans in Euless?
I see everybody's role. We're a team. TYAT was a team effort. And then, ETCC is a team effort. this is a team effort.
Mhm.
Sharing platform with each other
Mhm.
and not hiding and not being,
Yes.
you know, this is
Yes.
mine. You
Yeah.
know, don't steal my
There's enough for
idea.
everyone. Yeah.
You know, don't listen to my stuff. And, you know, learning to work together.
Yes.
And to work together. Successful I go balang.
Oh yes. Exactly.
Highly successful. Now network.
Yes.
Now both and the reciprocal. They
Yes.
reciprocate. And so you don't, you know, a lot of the committee, when our committee comes together, we sometimes there's a misconception as if the city pays us. And
Yeah.
as if the city is going to give us money or
Yeah.
cash or a house or something. You know, there's laws.
Yes.
We live in a country of laws. And so, you know, it's volunteer. It's free. It's
Mhm.
you do it because it's good for the whole journey. And so, you know, that's a good thing to do, is to work and network and to work together as a team. We're working together now with Semistukia and a program he's doing. So I love to preserve the culture and to teach it.
Yes.
That's something that the younger generation could learn. Anything that I do, I don't see myself as having done anything. I think we've done as a group.
Mhm.
We've always been a group. We're you know, people who work together and make things work. There's no way any one
Mhm.
person can do anything. And the people before us that came before us, they did stuff. They laid down some stuff in order for us to come and step on that. Ko ulunga ba ko rea whakatonga lau whakatonga be ai. Kakai na nau tai fihi. The
Mhm.
people that came before.
Yes.
Every bit helps. But it does take things like this
Yes.
for somebody to see the vision and to step
Oh,
up and
yes.
do it and not be afraid
Exactly.
to be called a failure.
That's true. Yes, because I know there's this saying that if you want to go far, go alone. But if you want to, I'm sorry, take that out. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So that just confirms everything that you're saying. When we work together, you know that there's enough for all of us, guys. We can all be millionaires. You know that we can all share everything that we're doing. Your knowledge, you know something I don't. We can share that and swap informations as well as networking. You know, I remember whenever me and Sally showed up to the TYAT when you took them on the college tour to TCC, and just speaking about just letting them know how important networking is, and just encouraging the students that you need to be uncomfortable. You need to step out of your comfort zone in order for there to be growth and to take you forward to the direction that has been created and laid out for you, because we are all created for a purpose. You know, we are all destined for greatness. So just thank you for sharing that, Ofa, because that is so true.
Thanks for watching What Anna Said podcast. Make sure you stay tuned for part 2.